Don't forget to think about your problem while you're doing this. Keep moving. Yes.
Thank you very much. So what is it, that stuff we're doing here again? Your clients are diamonds. And the process of coaching is bringing them back to their truth. Because no matter what you think you are, you're more than that.
Hello, this is Javon. I've put together a short video explaining the NLP Communication Model. This is an explanation of how the field of neuro-linguistic programming can explain how you tick, what makes you think, feel and behave the way you do, and in so doing, better understand other people and their perceptions of you, the world, and everything in reality. In other words, what I'm about to present to you will give you a clear idea about how you can take better control over your internal processing of the world around you, and in so doing be able to relate to others better, understanding them better, and therefore be able to respond and communicate optimally in all aspects of your life. So now, the NLP Communication Model explains how we take information from the world outside of us into our neurology, and how that in turn affects all our thoughts, feelings and behaviors. The NLP Communication Model, developed by doctors Tad James and Wyatt Woodsmill in 1988 from the work of Richard Bandler and John Grinder, is one of the key structures in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, though it draws heavily on the concepts of cognitive psychology and the groundbreaking work of linguistic analysts Alfred Korzybski, his work in 1933, and Noam Chomsky, his work in 1964. As human beings, we're constantly taking in information through our 5 senses and processing it at an average rate of about 4 million bits of information every second. A vast majority of this information absorption and assimilation takes place unconsciously. Consciously trying to process all this information might be fun, but it certainly wouldn't be sustainable or practical. Therefore, in order to discern and utilize relevant information, our nervous system filters it. Our individual filters are determined by our perceptions of time, space, matter, and energy, as well as the language we use, our understanding of words and gestures, our memories, the unique way we go about making decisions, the patterns we look for when selecting information, our values and beliefs, plus our overall attitude. We then delete, distort, and generalize information according to our unique filters. Now, if you refer to the diagram, the NLP Communication Model diagram, you will see that there is an external event. That's the information that's coming in through our 5 senses. And then you follow that green arrow, it shows you then what happens next inside our neurology. That information, raw data, passes through our nervous system's unique filters. I'll explain to you what those filters are soon. Once incoming information passes through our filters, a thought is constructed. This ongoing process results in thoughts coming together to create internal representations, or our maps of reality. Internal representations take the form of sensory perceptions, like a picture with sounds, emotional feelings, tastes, smells, for example. Our internal representations instantaneously trigger corresponding states, which in turn motivate all our behaviors. So once again, referring to your diagram, you'll see that that information passes through these layers of filters in our nervous system and then goes on to form that internal representation, which simultaneously triggers a state that's a reaction in the body that feels a certain way, which in turn has a certain physiology. There's a matching posture, breathing rate for each state and internal representation. That process of creating these maps of realities that have feelings and physiological aspects to them are what motivate our behaviors. So what you're about to find out is that the reality which we experience is largely determined by what we do inside our heads. Yes, my good people, what happens in the world around you has less to do with your behavior. What drives your behavior mostly is your interpretation of what happens outside of you. Once you've manipulated that information through the filters, and we all do this, we cannot help it. We're born this way, and those filters get created throughout our life, and how that happens is what I'm about to explain to you. So everyone experiences any given situation differently. It's our internal representations or subjective perceptions that determine how we view the world and everything we experience. We unconsciously manipulate pure sensory information to create our subjective perceptions based on the programming that has created our current set of filters. Filtering is not a passive activity. We actively scan for evidence to confirm our existing worldviews, thereby creating the self-fulfilling prophecies that form the illusion of an objective experience of reality. Now, our programming is determined by the sum of our experiences through the growth and development as human beings, which means everything we've experienced in our life, from pre-birth, being in the womb, the birth experience itself, those first formative minutes and hours and days of our life, and every experience from then on determines the programming or conditioning that we are subject to, which then creates these filters in our neurology, and I'll explain to you what those specific filters are. And therefore, our filters determine who we are, why we behave the way we do, and fortunately, with the use of NLP, we have the authority now to reprogram the mental states and behaviors that we'd like to update. For example, understanding how our physiology or body posture affects our state and therefore how we communicate provides the agility to change strategies in order to better understand people as well as to be better understood. Our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors stem from our unique filters. These filters vary from deeply unconscious processes to more conscious processes. These filters start with meta-programs, being our most unconscious filters. Meta-programs are thought by some to be our blueprint or the filters we are born with. Meta-programs underpin our personality types, which explain why people respond differently in similar situations. In other words, if you see the glass half empty and another person sees it half full, That's a meta-program. It's one of several meta-programs that we have running in our nervous systems at any given time. And whether we see the glass half empty or half full is determined by that core unconscious program, so to speak, that's running in our nervous systems. How to work with meta-programs, elicit them, and change them if necessary is part of the NLP curriculum. The next filter is values. Values are the things that are most important to us. Values are our next most unconscious filter and are based upon our experiences up to the present time in our life. Values determine what the individual considers to be right or wrong. Values are context specific. Therefore, what's important in one area of life may not be important in other areas. The next set of filters are our beliefs. Our beliefs are what support our values. Beliefs are what we hold to be true about ourselves, others, and the world. Whether religious or not, we all have beliefs, and the quality of our beliefs significantly influences the quality of our life. Our next set of filters are our attitudes, which are the values and belief systems that we have about specific things. Then, the next set of filters are memories. These are the past, individual, and collective experiences that influence our current perceptions. Our present behaviors are significantly influenced by our collections of past memories. The next set of filters are decisions. These are the past decisions about who we are and what we're capable of. They affect the decisions that we are faced with in the present. Past decisions are what create our present values, beliefs, and attitudes. Therefore, they influence how we respond to current situations. Referring to your diagram now, you can see those squares that contain these filters. Just by way of example, it shows you how this information passes through those sets of filters. Then, as that information passes through those sets of filters in our neurology, each person's is unique. We do one of at least 3 things with that information. Okay? So let's explore how these filters operate. As humans, we do at least one of 3 things with incoming sensory information. We cannot help it. We must either delete and or distort and or generalize all sensory input. This is referred to as a universal modeling process in NLP. So, to explain deletions, with the extreme amount of information entering and being processed by our nervous systems, we're forced to omit certain aspects of our current experience by selectively paying attention to other aspects of it. In other words, we focus on what is apparently most important at a specific moment in time, and the rest is deleted from our conscious awareness. In conjunction to deleting information, we distort information. This is the misrepresentation of our reality through distorting our experience of pure sensory information. Being intimidated by certain people, frightened of a harmless situation, procrastinating or misinterpreting what someone says are examples of how we distort reality. Even the process of planning, imagining, or visualizing something also uses distortion as a way of constructing goals and compelling futures. And then there's generalization. This is the process of learning and drawing conclusions so that information can be applied for the achievement of any task. It requires generalizing. For example, a toddler who learns how to open a door for the first time quickly generalizes their new ability so that all types of doors can be opened from then on. So watch out, mum and dad. Similarly, a negative experience may generalize through a person's life and result in issues later on. For example, being bitten by a dog once as a little person can result in a phobia of dogs, even harmless little ones, for the rest of your life. So now I've introduced what distortions, generalizations, and deletions are, and you know that information that's been filtered through your nervous system gets either distorted, generalized, or deleted to create that internal representation, which is a thought that has a certain energetic aspect to it, that's the state, and a physiological response to that in the body, which then drives your successive behavior. So now, how is knowing about the NLP communication model useful? Well, knowing about the various factors which affect human communication enables us to communicate with greater flexibility while understanding other points of view better. Therefore, we're able to relate to people easily and respond to them on their terms. This builds rapport and allows for successful outcomes in leadership, mediation, and negotiation. It also facilitates empathy and compassion in human interactions. On the personal side, knowledge about the NLP communication model, along with the application of NLP approaches, enables people to run their own minds. More fulfillment in life is achievable when we are less affected by external circumstances through gaining control of our internal processes. This leads to mental freedom, empowered responses, and mindful interactions with others. So, that's your introduction to the NLP communication model. I hope this helps you to better understand how you think, feel, and behave the way you do, so that you can be more effective in your communication and better understand others, and therefore achieve greater results in your life.
Think about what you've done here.